These kids have reason to be happy tonight. They've just made history and took another step closer to changing the laws of this province with the help of CBC News at 6. Also tonight, wheezy, sneezy, and stuffed up? Why this year's allergy season is shaping up to be a doozy. And buying into a dream. How immigrants are changing the GTA's housing market. Good evening. A big day for 3 groups of students we've been following for some time now. They all made the grade today at Queen's Park. MPP sent all 3 bills written by students onto committee. That doesn't happen very often with private members' bills. And the government surprised everyone with an announcement. Mike Wise now on the project he's been shepherding through the corridors of power.
It had all the pomp and ceremony of any other sitting of the legislature, but this one was special. Politicians of all stripes talking about ideas from young people.
Thank you for giving us the voice of you as students. You're telling us what you need.
For 3 hours, politicians talked about the bills presented by high school students as those students looked on. When the bells rang, calling MPPs to a vote, the result was unanimous each time.
Mr. McGuinty.
All 3 bills easily passed second reading, although students say they weren't taking anything for granted.
I don't think any of us could stop smiling in the gallery stands. And if we did, it's because we were just in shock. We were like, this is so amazing.
I didn't know how many people were going to stand up and how many people were going to be there, so it was a surprise.
Even Dalton McGuinty voted for the 3 bills, the first time he's voted on private members' bills as Premier.
If that were to become law, he would have a lasting influence for good in public policy in Ontario. It's pretty heady stuff, eh? Yeah. So congratulations.
But it turns out some of the students would have an impact on policy much sooner. The Minister of Labour met them to announce changes inspired by their bill.
But there were things that we could do right now that you made us aware of that we could do without actually having to change legislation. And that's your doing. And that's what you should all be really proud of.
These students wanted a new poster to help educate young people about their rights on the job. The minister made changes to an existing poster that does just that.
So this is one part of what you were responsible for of getting us, and we're already in the process right now. All new posters that will be printed will have this information on it that wasn't there before. Yes, sir.
It was a big moment for this student who came overnight from Ottawa just to watch the debate.
It's proof that when so many people stand up and say this is wrong or we need help, that the politicians and the media are there to help.
Mike Wise, CBC News, Toronto.
I'm Amanda Singroy at Queen's Park. For these students, today's experience was about much more than passing their bills or getting their picture taken. They say it was about learning that anyone can affect change.
You don't have to be a straight-A student. You don't have to be very wealthy. You can be just the regular guy off the street, and you can actually go in there and make a difference.
Before, I didn't know enough about politics to make a good opinion, and now that I know so much about it, I've started to see that it's not like a mystery.
They came from all over. You could call their approach textbook. For months, they used their imagination to delicately craft their bills, and they waited patiently until they finally got the ear of the province's most powerful politicians.
But it really is important that these kinds of initiatives become the kinds of things that people talk a little bit around the breakfast table. To get people to focus just momentarily on an issue is really quite an accomplishment.
It's history making, and I think that that's something you should all be extremely proud of.
At an age when many teenagers admit they have a hard time focusing on anything, these young men and women are hooked on the political process.
They actually listen to the citizens, because the citizens make the government, so they basically listen to us.
If you want to keep getting the petitions, then I'll keep introducing them and keep the issue alive.
Empowered, invigorated, and enlightened, they say the lessons learned here will last them a lifetime.
I thought it was really rewarding actually to see it going on, to see all our hard work and to see how it came out in the end, to see just how people were reacting to it and what would happen next. It was pretty exciting.
I think that's really cool just to remember our experience in this whole big, huge adventure.
Amanda Singroy, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, our own Mike Wise is the man behind making the grade. He's been working on this for months, and we've lost count of how many times he was mentioned by MPPs in the legislature today. And Mike joins us now from Queen's Park. So, Mike, what happens now with this project?
Well, Diana, in theory, what happens to a bill? The next stage is to go to committee, then a third reading debate, and then royal assent. That's the theory. What's going to happen to these three bills as a result of today is they have been referred to committee. Essentially, that is a smaller group of MPPs who will meet and go through it in more detail. They may call public hearings or call people to come to speak in on it, and they can come up with suggestions. Now, it's only been referred to committee. It hasn't been called to a committee, and that's an important caveat. Just because it's past the second reading doesn't mean these bills will necessarily go on to have a committee. As a matter of fact, all the spots for committee are filled up. If anything happens to these bills again, it certainly isn't going to be into this school year. And there's been no guarantees from the three parties at this point. It's really something we're going to have to see in the next couple of months. One other caveat, if the government calls a speech from the throne, that has the effect of wiping the slate clean, and actually all these bills will be wiped free and they have to start the process all over again.
Another learning moment about the political process. Now, we do want to talk about the one motion that was presented today that didn't pass. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, right after the last vote, Frank Cleese stood up, the MPP for Oak Ridges, and he passed an all-party, asked for unanimous consent to turn me into an honorary MPP for the day. And it was voted down soundly. And all I'll say is, I know who voted against that. Dave Levac. Yeah, okay.
You had your chance to get back at him now.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Thanks, Mike, who
Thank you,
obviously
Diana.
is not at Queen's Park. He's on Front Street tonight.
Thank you.